I'm James64. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about Ymir, Fritz and the Founding Titan, but specifically her. I'm not going to be talking about Aaron Yeager, Carl Fritz, any of the Reese family who had Founding Titans, just about Ymir Fritz. If you want, I can make a separate video talking about all the other Founding Titans, plus the Ackerman involvement with the Founding Titan, and explain that in a bit more detail. Just put it in the comments and let me know if you want to see it. If I don't get any comments, I won't make it, basically. But yeah, this one's just talking about Ymir Fritz. So I'm going to go over her backstory, like her origin, how she became a Titan, and what she did once she gained the power of a Titan, and explain the curse of Ymir. I'll explain it all. So let's jump straight into it by explaining her backstory. Basically, Ymir was just a regular village girl living away in the village that ended up getting kind of taken over by a barbarian tribe, closest thing to Vikings that you had at the time period of 2,000 years ago, which is when her story takes place, which is 2,000 years before the current day that the show takes place. So, this wandering tribe that took over the village were Eldians. Yes, that name sounds very familiar, it should. But yeah, the Eldian tribe took over, and anyone that they didn't take for slaves were killed. These people included Ymir's parents, her mother and her father, but anyone that was taken as a slave actually had their tongue cut out. By the way, this is going to be a warning. Some of this story is going to be quite graphic, so just a heads up. Now, yes, so their tongues were cut out because the Eldian tribe didn't see a need for the slaves to be able to speak. So the slaves were given pretty simple tasks of just taking care of the pigs, getting water, moving stuff around. Simple enough jobs. But one day, Ymir was taking care of the pigs, and she left the pen door open. There was 3 pigs, and one of them walked away, went for its freedom, and that was it. King Fritz, the leader of the, well, he wasn't King Fritz at the time, but Fritz was the leader of the group of Eldians, and he was not happy about this. He was very angry, and he said to the slaves that if they don't tell him who set the pig free, he would take one eye from every slave. So obviously, in fear, instantly every slave pointed to Ymir, and this was a lot bigger moment in the manga than it was in the anime, because in the anime you don't know that their tongues are missing, whereas in the manga you do, because it doesn't cover it in the anime. And I feel like it's kind of fair because it's graphic and it's unnecessary in a show that's already quite horrific. But yeah, so what King Fritz does is he says Ymir is now free. So she runs into the woods, she starts running, because what happens is his men, the Eldian soldiers, they chase her down on horseback and they shoot her with bows and arrows. They hit her twice, once in the shoulder, once in the leg. Now, Ymir, obviously running for her life, she sees this massive tree, which was stupidly too big, which we'll get into in a minute, because it shouldn't have been that big. But there was a giant opening / crack in the tree. She went in there and she fell underneath the tree into a hole, into a pool of water, and she ended up finding what is referred to as the source of life. Now I'm going to go into a bit of explanation of what this creature actually is. This is a hallucinogenia, which is a real creature that existed years ago, in our world, but it's gone extinct now. In the Attack on Titan world, this hallucinogenia that Ymir fused with was a mutated version, and that's how she became the very first Titan. Now, when she became a Titan, you might be questioning, what did she do? Did she use that new power to go back to Fritz? She did go back to Fritz. Did she get her revenge? No. She actually went back and used this newfound power to serve him, because that's all she knew. Even though she had been physically told that she had been set free, she still went back and served him, because that's all she kind of knew. She'd been a slave from such a young age that she didn't know there was another option. So she went back and served him for a long time, up until her death, which we'll talk about later. So what she did with her newfound power. Actually, her Titan first. So her Titan, pretty simple Titan in terms of just, it looks like a giant human being, but obviously a few differences are, it's about 80 meters tall, roughly. So it's actually bigger than the Colossal Titan. It has no face, has no skin on its face. It's just a skull, which is pretty unique. We only see that in a female Titan otherwise, and it has a rib cage on the outside, which I don't think we see in any other Titan besides Founding Titans. So that's pretty interesting. That's a unique trait. Not all Founding Titans have this, but her one did. And the only other Titans that have had this are Founding Titans as well. So let's get straight into it by how she helped out King Fritz. So what she would do is she would build roads, bridges, she would help him fight wars, take down Eldia's greatest enemy, which at the time was Marley, which kind of still technically is in the current day, but obviously the roles are completely different because back in the day they were working with bows and arrows, swords, against an 80-meter Titan. Nowadays, in current times, they have anti-Titan artillery, and the tallest Titan is, well, they never even had the Colossal Titan in current day, so it would have only been like 15, 17 if you had the Beast Titan in fighting. Massive difference. But yeah, so she helped him gain more slaves, build bridges and roads. I'm assuming she used hardening, but it's not confirmed. But I'm going to assume because that makes the most sense. Now, this helped him gain wealth, power, more slaves because she would help conquer more lands. There wasn't a way to take down not only a Founding Titan, but any Titan at that time. Well, she was the very first, so no one even knew what it was. But one thing that she couldn't do, or well, there's a few things, but these came to later generations, but they didn't exist for her because she couldn't use two of the powers that the Titan has is it can change the memories and the minds of subjects of Ymir, and it can also turn any subject of Ymir into a pure Titan. But obviously this couldn't be done because there were no subjects of Ymir in this current time period. Now, how Karl Fritz actually rewarded her for all this help that she was doing was by making her a concubine, which was a kind of like a side chick, basically. But they ended up having 3 kids together, which were Rose, Maria, and Shiganshina. Now, those names probably sound familiar because they are. They are the 3 walls. Yeah, that's where the walls were named after her 3 kids. Now, a few years go by, and once again, wealth, power, the army of Eldia is massively growing. And Mr. Fritz, Karl Fritz, King Fritz, is giving a speech to his soldiers. He's getting them ready for a fight, I think, or, they're all lined up. He's giving a serious talk to them, and one of these soldiers throws a pinpoint accurate spear throw at the king. Now, what happens is Ymir jumps in the way, and the spear pierces her heart. But you'd be thinking, this shouldn't be enough to kill a Titan shifter, as we've seen Reiner take a sword straight through the neck and still manage to heal, because we know that they can shift their consciousness. Now, we don't know if she could do this because she wouldn't have been taught this, but she should have healed. And I think as long as you have the will to live, I don't think she had the will to live anymore, because when she looked up at Karl Fritz, King Fritz, all he did was say that he knows that this spear couldn't kill her, and he told her to go straight back to work. Now, in this moment, they had locked eyes, and she just kind of gave up. It's when her eyes went dead. Her kids were obviously crying for her, but when the king didn't shed a tear, she just kind of gave up and lost the will to live, and this is actually what killed her. And this created the curse of Ymir. So if you don't know, the curse of Ymir is something that affects every Titan shifter, any subject of Ymir. If you gain the power of a Titan, if you become a Titan shifter, because she only lived as a Titan for 13 years, you couldn't live any longer than that. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. Now this does affect everyone differently, because we know that a member of the Reese family in his 30s looked like he was 90 years old after the 13 years, whereas Grisha Jaeger didn't look any different, but he was still dying. So that's pretty interesting. Now, one of the things is, I've already covered this, how she got her power, but it was actually a common misconception that Ymir's power actually came from a devil. People thought that she had made a deal with the devil and gained the powers of a Titan, but like I've already explained, we know that's not true. Now, how this power got passed on is where this is about to get graphic, but basically, King Fritz, he didn't want to lose that Titan power, so he told her the three kids that they had together, to eat her spine and eat all of her, so that her power wouldn't be lost. Now, he was not aware that this would pass on the power, but he did the right thing because, well, it helped out Eldia a lot. But what he did was he told the kids to consume and reproduce and consume and reproduce. He constantly repeated this sentence, and that's exactly what happened, eventually creating loads of subjects of Ymir in current day. But this was obviously very useful for people who had the Founding Titan's power going forward, because the power still stayed in Fritz's hands, just with one of his kids. Now, I'm pretty sure what happened was one kid got the Founding Titan, and the other two daughters actually had 4 and 4. Now, we're not 100% sure, but this is what roughly came of it. So, by constantly consuming and reproducing, they actually created hundreds of subjects of Ymir, which helped King Fritz, because what he would do was he would get the Founding Titan to create thousands of pure Titans. Well, not thousands at the start, but he would get them to create pure Titans and use this to take over land. So he would get them to rush in, take over a land, and expand his territory even further, gaining more slaves and continuing the process with more slaves. He was able to help create even more subjects of Ymir, and that's basically how this whole thing went. And that's how the Eldian Empire became so powerful, just from Ymir being the very first Titan shifter. Now let's actually talk about what happened to Ymir after she died. So when she died, she went to a place called the Coordinate, or like the area filled with sand, and it wasn't until her kids ate her spine that the tree sort of thing grew and branched off. Now, you might see that every single subject of Ymir is a separate branch on the tree and has the possibility of becoming a Titan. Now, in this land, she was stuck there for thousands and thousands of years, and, well, 2,000 years to be specific, but over these 2,000 years, she was constantly helping the royal family and King Fritz, by creating any Titan that existed. So if anyone was to invoke the power of a Titan, shift into a Titan, she would physically use the sand in the Coordinate in that area to create their Titan piece by piece. And that's why every Titan looks different. Now, we also see her doing this when Zeke got blown apart, that she recreated his body using the sand. Now, this took months on end for her, but because time works differently there, it didn't affect the real world, and basically it was instant. But because Zeke was also there when this happened, like, he knows what happened, he knows it took months, but for him, in the real world, it wasn't that long, which is very interesting. Now, we do know that when she actually gets asked at one point why she did this, why she served King Fritz for so long, even after death, and why she constantly created more Titans and created every Titan to help him. And it's because she said that she had loved him, which is why I think when she did get hit by the spear and he showed no emotion, that's kind of why she gave up. But yeah, I'm actually curious if anyone knows, how did she choose the royal family? Like, as in, because we all know that the power of the founder can only be used by people with royal blood, with, the Fritz blood. But they're all, like, it started with, all of them were originally his kids. So I'm assuming it's the one person who got the Founding Titan, their bloodline became the royal bloodline in terms of the subjects of Ymir. Now that's just a guess, but that's what I'm going with. So everyone that was her descendants, direct, whoever got the founding titan, their bloodline was kind of how it worked. Now that's just a guess, but that's kind of what makes the most sense. That's pretty much what there is to Ymir Fritz and her founding titan. If you want me to talk about the other founding titans, like I've already said, just put it in the comments and I can make a video talking about those. And let me know if you found this interesting. Also, like and subscribe. See you in the next one.